Page 18, Rhythmicon. Got some syncopation going on in the rhythm. We need to talk about the rhythm. Well, let's look the piece over. You know, when I start a new piece of music, I like to go through a process of learning it. It's 2 pages long, treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key is C major. Make sure you can do the C major scale. 4/4 time signature. There's a lot of syncopation going on. Just look at the right hand, sort of. Some of this, it's easier to look at both hands together, but I'm still going to take it one hand at a time. At the beginning, I want 2 and 4 here, okay. And it's 1 and 2. Now that's a quarter note. So you're playing the quarter note on the and of 1, 1 and that goes for 1 beat. And then the 8th rest is on the and of 2. So you lift up. 1 and 2 and then the half notes on beat 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that rhythm is all over. Now measure 5, you're coming down there with 2 and 5 here. Well, that's okay, because the rest you can come down 1 and 2 and 3, and then that's an F now, and an A flat. Remember the flat's good for the rest of the measure, so all those A's are flat. 1 and 2 and now there's no rest. You just hold it down. Going on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you're back to what you were doing. Those are the trickiest parts with the right hand. And the left hand, well, you're here, and that whole note you hold down for the whole measure, and then the 8th note comes on the and of 2, see, because the quarter rest is on beat 1, the 8th rest is on beat 2, so it's and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like so. All the time you're holding that down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's what we're doing. Put the heads together. Now this part, your beat 1 is here. The right hand plays on the and of 1. 1 and. Got that so far? I haven't lost you yet. Okay. 1 and 2. And this comes on the and of 2. The right hand gets a rest. So that you're lifting up here and playing that. That's a whole note. Hold it down. 1 and 2 and. That's the first 2 beats. 1 and 2 and. Okay. And then the half note comes on beat 3. And then the quarter note comes on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So at the end, I got all these notes down for that measure. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. E. You get the idea. What I'm hoping you don't do is you wait for me or somebody to play it for you and say, oh, is that how it goes? Okay. It's so much better if you can figure out these rhythms on your own and discover what they are, because then as you speed it up, then you start feeling, oh, now I know what it is, but you've discovered it yourself. Because that's really the trickiest part of it, when you can get these first few measures, because that rhythm is various places. Now, once I have the hands together, then I go back through and I get rid of the hesitations. So there's no hesitation. I keep it slow, go as slow as I gotta go, but no hesitations. And then I put in the articulation. That's the accents and staccatos and stuff like that. Ornaments, if there are any. Here we have a staccato here at the beginning. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I go through and I put in all the articulation. Be aware on the last measure, bottom of 19, when you're here, and that AVA takes you down here. If you have a short keyboard, just play the little C you have, but that last note is staccato in the left hand. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, and this comes up on beat 3 in theory. 1 and 2 and 3. See, so that's done in this. However, in actually playing it, you can probably lift both hands at the same time. Here, it's not what's written, but in interpreting it, we generally will do that sort of thing. Depends on the music and what it needs. Now, once I have the articulation in, then I think about the dynamics. The melody here is in the right hand when there is a melody. This beginning part, this sort of both hands here, loud, forte, whatever you think loud is. Don't get carried away. Somewhere in there, and you're staying basically loud. You can get a little louder and softer as you feel it, but then the measure 9 come down to mezzo piano or sort of soft, sort of here. And measure 14, you go up a little bit. You can actually be about moderately loud right there. At the end of measure 13, then measure 14, you're loud, or moderately loud. And then get louder. And now measure 17, you're loud. By the way, in the right hand on measure 16, you're here. They want here, and then going on, you gotta use the little finger again. I prefer not to do that, thank you very much. So I'm gonna do here, and then I'm gonna go up to here, 1, 2, 4. This way, my little finger's ready for measure 17. That's how I'm doing it. Anyway, measure 17, we're loud in the right hand. The left hand needs to be more in the background. I mean, and a lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of this, when the left hand is playing these chords, it needs to be in the background. You just got to listen to the music. Does it make more sense to play both hands the same, like at the beginning? Or does it make more sense to let bring out the melody, is what I guess I'm trying to say on measure 13. Now, I would bring out that a little louder than the left hand. And in measure 17, definitely the right hand gets it. The right hand, that's the melody. And then measure 25, you back down a little bit, sort of loud. And measure 30, you come down. That sort of soft for measure 31. A little louder, louder. Yeah. So you're crescendoing it. So they could have just put in a crescendo there, a measure 31 crescendo. And you would kind of do that, you know. But instead of that, they've actually written out the crescendo for you. And that's helpful, you know. Because a lot of times in music, when you get this crescendo and it goes over measures, you have to figure out how to do the crescendo. So you could put in these dynamic markings in these measures to help you remember that this measure I want to be this loud, and this measure I'm going to be this loud. And sometimes it isn't by measure, it's by motif, musical motif or phrase or something. And whatever it is, you can put in these dynamics, write them in the music to remind you how loud you want to be when during the crescendo. The speed, happily, that's not a speed. That's a lot of times they don't give you the speed. They give you the mood, and from that you get to figure out the speed. So play it happily, I guess. I haven't had enough coffee for that yet, but we'll work on it. About where I've been going, I think. It's a happy piece, so be happy. Now they've added pedal in a few places. Now let's talk about it. Measure 13. I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. And I'm going to change the pedal after I play the notes, so the pedal's going to overlap the notes just a hair. This ensures I always have sound. measure 17, I lift it up. And then on measure 24, same thing. Push the notes down first, then the pedal. And I'll lift the pedal up as I play the half or the whole note, measure 25. Then at the bottom, measure 31, same thing. I'll push the notes down first, then the pedal. Change it after I play the notes. And again. And everything comes up together, the pedal and the hands, and okay. Listen carefully to the effect the pedal has to the sound. Always learn a piece without pedal first. So the hands and fingers, you know what they're doing and everything's fine. And then when you add the pedal, you can hear really the effect it is having. We don't want to be too overly dependent on the pedal to help us out because we're getting lazy with the hands and fingers. So learn it first to make the fingers and do what they need to do. Now we certainly don't pedal some of this. We want the staccatos, you cover it up. So I wouldn't pedal anywhere other than where they're telling you to. Please don't copy me. You get into it and you make it yours. With a few more cups of coffee, I'd play this a little different because I play by feel. And how do you feel it? Let's play it together very slowly to check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'll do the pedaling like it's shown. And I'll do the staccatos and things. So I'll give us 4 counts. So we're just going to go really super slow. We're not performing it. We're just checking notes and rhythms. That's it. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4. And 1 and 2 and rest and rest and.